Good evening. Welcome to the workshop session of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley-Broom. It is 6:01 p.m. We have a quorum present with council members McKenzie, Karn, and Gay. And so I will call the workshop to order at this time with a continuing objection to the omnibus amendment that was passed by this body on January 2nd and the resolution 2024-01 that was passed on January 16th. The first item is the FY 2023-2024 financial status update presentation. Dr. Adedier?
They're coming now. With Granicus.
I'm missing one of my items. I have to grab it.
Good evening, this is for Lord Bradley. No, we'll do it in order.
Thank you.
This is my third time.
We'll do the financial. We'll do the update first.
I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the Granicus while we're waiting for the financial update.
There's a motion from Councilmember McKenzie to do the Granicus consideration item number 2.
Second.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Karn. Any discussion? Councilmember McKenzie?
No discussion.
Councilmember Karn?
No.
Councilmember Arnold? No. Councilmember Gay?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is passed. We'll handle the Granicus issue first.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I come before you to give you an update on the workshop item, which is the upgrade to our council. Come on up, talk a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go right to the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the time today. My name is Byron Gillen. About 26 years ago, myself and 3 others started a company focused on helping council members and city clerk's office perform better. Fast forward to now, 30 years later, I've learned a lot. So I'm standing in front of you with a lot of perspective, a lot of insight, working with many of the councils throughout Georgia and throughout many of the cities throughout the entire country here. So if we could provide some best practice and insight. Okay, so what I'd like to do is kind of summarize. So Kyle here is your account manager, and he's going to summarize kind of some of the conversations he's had with your current staff.
Yep. And hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
Hi.
It's great to be in College Park and talking to you all today. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, so I drove all the way from 85, and luckily, through all the changes, didn't run into
Come,
too many
come on up
traffic.
to the mic for us.
Is this better?
Yes, much
Yeah.
better. Thank you.
Sorry about that. So yeah, drove all the way from 85, and 85 is always changing. Didn't run into too much traffic here, but change is why we're here today. Change on from what we talked about through Queenie, Shavela, and Michael Hicks, through some of the old legacy agenda set platforms into some of the new technology that we have. For example, some of the things I alluded over to is improving the public search and translation of items and documents from those agendas. Because it's happening again, I'm sorry. Improving
Is that other mic taller? Is that that's the short one?
No,
This is the
no,
tall one.
no,
Okay.
don't use that one, please.
Don't use that one. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, improved staff collaboration on the one digital platform, as well as improved board member tools for you to better access those agenda items. Now you'll have a trusted partner with us at Granicus to produce the video content and also increase your community engagement with public comments, like on this, like the strategic review you just posted today. And then, of course, with having one vendor, you can consolidate your system, you have better interconnectivity with those different systems and reduce security risk. Next slide, please. So first thing is the public portal. That's why we're here. We do things for the public. With the new One Meeting Public Portal, we can make it a lot easier for folks. You can still hear me? Okay?
It's very, very soft.
Just talk on it.
Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Check that.
Sorry about that. All right, so approved public meetings portal so folks can easily pull up items and search things that you all talked about. Like I think I saw an item where you guys had a recent 5K coming up. So people can easily pull up that 5K, learn about it, where to go, and get access to it. Next slide, please. You even have translation of those documents for, folks that, maybe can't read English, speak other language like Spanish. They can have those documents translated in their language they prefer. Next slide, please. And also, Decatur, Georgia is already using the solutions we're talking about today, even the full video production where folks can easily pull up those meetings and items from those meetings and information, as well as you have those professional video production without any input from the staff. So you guys can sit back and relax and focus on the meeting. Pass it over to Byron.
So I go in front of council all the time. What Kyle just mentioned is why we're making this change, right? This is technology. We all have been seeing technology over the years. From when I started 30 years ago to now, artificial intelligence was laughable, right? It was a movie, right? Now, fast forward today, it's a key tool and instrument to make you and your staff more efficient and to provide insight to the public, residents, and businesses and visitors to College Park, right? So what I like to do is we just focus on some of the benefits of the public portal, but what I like to do is talk about the back end, right? And what your staff is going to be able to collaborate on. So if you could please go to the next slide. What you'll see here is a full one singular platform that all 13 directors, all 13 department heads will be able to work and collaborate on together for not just the city council meeting, but any of your particular meetings here in one single solution, right? And the key here is by improving the technology so that they can use any device. With the solution we have today, it's installed software that has run its course, right? When I started 30 years ago, a lot of different technologies changed over here since then. So it's time to now move that into the new platform so everyone can be on one particular platform. Next slide, please. So when we talk about staff time and savings, right, there's a lot of moving parts to it, right? To have just our normal workday and improving the work experience for your employees. Having the ability for us to generate resolution documents, project, bid documents, ordinances, proclamations. Having the system be able to generate that by allowing the staff member to fill out one form and automatically create that staff report that you read to get a summary of your item. The backup material that goes with each and every one of those documents. And as Kyle was mentioning, when the residents are searching for this information and pulling it on their website, they're not just seeing an old PDF or a Word file that they're having to download. It's presenting in a format that'll translate to their language and give them the ability to read if perhaps they have a disability, using readers and what have you on there. So this system's automatically going to generate all that information for your staff so they don't have to do that outside the system. Okay? The next slide, please. Now we talk about collaboration, right? And you have a lot of really fantastic technology you're considering with Granicus tonight. You have a kids foundational boxing fight that we're going to be talking about tonight in tonight's meeting. A lot of different proclamations, resolutions, and ordinances we talk about in every single meeting. In order for us to get the documentation together and the staff to get the documentation for you to consider that, there's a lot of moving parts internally. We have legal, looking at contracts. We have finance, making sure we have the funding. Do we have the grant? Do we have the proper tracking to align to our strategic initiatives and priorities? A lot of collaboration and moving parts. And the challenge with the system we have today is a lot of it's being done outside the system, right? Or they're having to take things and documents outside the system, make the changes, and put them back in. By doing this upgrade, we're going to streamline all that collaboration so all that's being done in the same exact system so you can have better reporting, better analysis, better accountability of where our staff's at. Some folks need a little extra help, need a little extra hold-handing. This is going to give us that type of insight to be able to do that, right? And make it perform better. When we talk about implementation, which I'm sure is going to be a question for you, is, okay, how soon can we roll this out? This is a key area I want to talk through, right? Because if we do things like we did before and just bring it into the new system, no problem. We could probably get this all done in about 3 months. But this is a fantastic opportunity for us to really look at the new technology and see and challenge the way we do business internally today. Can we do it better? Is Chambly, Smyrna, who are currently using this technology, have they found different ways and insight for staff to be more productive? So these are some of the things we'll talk about when we talk through the implementation. Okay? So next slide, please. When we're talking about the approval process, we're a lot of moving parts here, right? We have legal that's outside the organization. We have staff members that go on site to different facilities. They're in and out, right? And all work different hours, right? Maybe we're sick. We have to work at home and get things done because we have a deadline to do, right? The challenge in the system now, you have to be at the office. You have to be on that software. Here, this is completely web-based where I can actually look and approve things on site from anywhere, right? So again, better staff collaboration and better staff access so we can do this from anywhere in a secure environment. Next slide, please. The other thing is the reporting, right? One of the challenges here, we have some fantastic core values here, the council and the mayor that we've actually put together here for College Park, right? How are we aligning with those particular priorities? How are we doing better with community engagement? How are we actually improving our different values? So what we can do with this new software that we're going to be upgrading for you is align each and every item we talk about in these meetings to those strategic initiatives. So 8 months from now, if you want to see, how's our Go Green initiative? How are we doing our capital improvement grant that we had to do for our water main project or whatever it might be? You'll be able to now, in a snapshot, run that type of reporting. So department staff, you, the council, your residents and businesses have better transparency in the things that we're acting on here in the council, right? So the ability to actually report on that in a much more streamlined and easy way. Next slide, please. Now, the clerk's office, right? Near and dear to my heart, it's obviously what I've built my entire career on is working with the clerk's office. They do a lot for College Park and for every city here in the state of Georgia and every city in the country. There's a lot of moving parts and services are right behind it. So we need to provide tools to make that office perform better, especially here in the meeting, right? There's a lot of moving parts going on in the meeting, right? We have folks signing up, what we're going to talk about later in the back of the room, right? With the request to speak, make comments on how we're doing with these particular initiatives, right? So we're going to talk through how we're going to make the clerk's life better, but here in the meeting, how do we actually have the clerk being able to, who made the motion, who seconded, the voting results, and automatically generate those minutes in a format that are easily digestible by you, your staff, residents, and businesses, and done for automatically by the software, right? So there's tools that we're going to substantially upgrade in the clerk's office as part of this particular upgrade. Next slide, please. Now we're going to transition to all of you up in the room. Now here we have some new Surface Pros that are going to be gifts that we're going to perhaps be using as new tools, right? So what do we do with that, this new technology, right? So Kyle's going to kind of share with you some of the ideas of what other councils in Georgia are doing with this upgraded technology, how we can make better data-driven decisions from the council's perspective. Okay.
Yep. So what I'm going to talk about is the tools that you guys will start using during the meetings on those Surfer Pros or whatever device that is you're more comfortable with. Now you'll be able to access those agendas digitally, even make your own notes and pull up those items and even attachments associated with those items, be able to see them and review them. Next slide, please. everyone will get their own individual login so they can make their own notes private to themselves to keep track of, what they want to talk about. And next slide. And even be able to request to speak digitally on those items to be able to make the comments and, talk about the notes that you've made. It's a great, again, collaboration tool and again, streamlining that with all, access to those items and agendas. Now, I know you guys were looking to be more transparent and show your residents how you guys are voting. Now we can do that on that digital platform through the same app that you guys can access on those devices, where it's very easy for you guys to make those votes and cast them. Next slide, if you want to showcase about the different forms of voting that you guys can access. And that's real time, so the residents can see what you're doing real time with what those votes are. Next slide. All right. And now, Byron, that's your picture up there. You're gonna talk.
All right, so like Ms. Turks was mentioning, we can do this in phases, right? We're talking about a lot today, right? We're talking about changing perhaps how we do organization in the staff, right? Disruption for staff time. We're talking about making changes to our digital platform on the website for people to find things, changes in the clerk's office, changes for you folks, right? So we will work with you on identifying what the priorities are and what phases we can do this in, right? For example, if you see there's a picture of me up on the screen here. I live in Florida, right? So I'm in South Florida, and this is a picture of me at Sunrise, Florida, which is implementing the exact same technology we're talking about today. Sunrise is the home of the Florida Panthers, right? A hockey team down there, right? I know we're going to be perhaps getting a hockey team again back here in Atlanta, hopefully soon. But when we talk about that, what we did is the community engagement was so important to that mayor. They actually eliminated this timer where people can speak as long as they want, right? Imagine that, right? So that's a good, it's a change, and first time I've ever seen that anywhere in Florida, really across the country. But I bring that up because they instituted this technology to get more community engagement. So what you see on the screen is instead of that paper that we signed in the back, we can go in, and if there's a line of a lot of folks that want to speak on it, I can use my phone and use a QR code like you're pulling up a menu, put my name in here, what I think about this particular issue, and request to sign and speak, and the clerk's office will see it up on the screen to make sure that we call each and every one of those that actually signed up to speak. I'm filling out an iPad right there, right? So this is a fantastic way to take that next step and show the residents we're committed to community engagement and technology advancement, one of the core values here of College Park, right? So this gives us the opportunity to do things like that with this system, and it all ties back into our minutes, helping the clerk's office, so we know exactly who spoke, how long they spoke, and what they spoke about. Okay, next slide, please. Now, obviously, I'm here traveling, right? I do live in South Florida. I travel quite a bit, meeting councils like yours all across the country, specifically on the East Coast. So I can't go to my Hollywood, Florida meeting very often on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, right? But I live there because I love the boardwalk there. And when they're making changes and edits to that boardwalk and I can't be there, I use this same technology to go on here and say, hey, I'm for this or opposed to this, and my council member who represents my district can now see my personal notes of what I'm actually putting on there, right? And we can tailor this to actually show those notes also to the public, but in a secure environment. Unlike social media where you have those crazy folks that are behind the keyboard just saying whatever they want, this is a moderated, safe platform to make sure no unproductive four-letter words are being posted or anything like that, right? So it's but a fantastic way to get the voice of the entire community rather than just the segment that come to this meeting, right? Now, curious, and probably other folks around here that are using this technology, and some of your counterparts that you may want to talk to, other council members, right? Chambly, Florida is one of the first that actually 2 years ago released both of the technology. We're talking about the council chambers, right? We're going to be talking about the cameras and all that stuff in just a minute, but also the technology, the software we've talked about here today. They've made an impactful difference in how they run their business. They changed the way they were doing things in MinuteTrack to make it more efficient. So we're all working on the same documentation and we don't have multiple versions floating around. Big impactful difference internally from their staff. Next slide, please. Smyrna, Georgia, they made a tremendous difference on their digital interface, right? They were only posting in MinuteTrack the PDF. And as a resident, if I really cared about my small business and bringing a coffee shop, what kind of investments we're making, it was challenging for me to find it. So Smyrna did a really nice job redeveloping the digital front door of their site so we can make it easy for those small businesses to find specifically how council's supporting them. Okay? So there's a couple examples. If you have folks in those, we have quite a few others. We have over 250 clients in Georgia alone using technology like this, right? But those are a couple we wanted to highlight. Next slide, please. All right, now we're going to wrap it up with the video conversation of how we're going to help equip this council chambers, right? and do the production of those particular meetings, and then open up for questions that you folks have. Kyle?
Thank you, Byron. Sure. All right. So one of the major pieces of this is the overhaul and the upgrades to the council chambers with the new camera and full video production solution that we offer. So with this solution, now you guys can sit back and relax during the meeting and work on the meeting, and we'll worry about doing the video production for you guys. We'll manage the content, broadcast it out, and have other tools as well, such as a sound search, where it adds a transcription of what was said during the meeting that's searchable, so people can find specific topics and jump to specific points in the meeting to find the information that they're looking for. Next slide, please. So we already worked with Michael. We're gonna look to install 4 cameras. It'll be 2 in the front and then 2 in the back to show off this beautiful council chamber that's actually as old as I am. We broadcast that out to the world. And with the bottom of that camera connects to our team, next slide, in Austin, Texas, who will be running the meetings for you guys. So we'll be an extension of your staff connecting in remotely, be able to do the camera switching, the editing, and graphics all live during the meeting. Next slide, please. Yep, and this will again increase engagement with your residents, again making it more transparent for your what you guys are doing during these meetings, and again easier for the folks to find the information that they're looking for associated with those meetings, like the 5K we got going on, or that boxing match you got looking to implement on June 1st. Next slide. And then again, that's exactly why Chambly, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, is it Smyrna, Georgia? Sorry. Also use the same thing. All right. I'm going to finish it up here. Sure.
Okay, next slide, please. All right, now we're going to open up for questions here, right? So again, we have a lot of clients here throughout Georgia. I've had the personal experience of working with many of your counterparts here. So I'm here in front of you with perspective and insight that I'd like to share. If you go to the next slide here, this kind of just shows some of the reasons what Granicus does. We're a full digital platform, right? We're going to focus on you, the council, and the meeting today, but our whole mission as a company is citizen engagement and community engagement, right? From websites to communication to all of those different types of things. That's what kind of a partner we are. So today we stand in front of you talking about automating this room, automating the council, helping the clerks and the staff, but that big picture, we're all about engagement. So questions for the staff, for the council,
Thank you, sir.
please.
We'll start with Councilmember McKenzie.
I've studied your organization and very good presentation. We definitely are in need of upgrading and getting current with 2024 technology. So I really don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilmember Carter?
And I got a few here.
Yes, sir.
Good presentation. This was something I recommended from last year.
Thank you.
I thought it'd help us out with some of the communication challenges we were having. And Mike, I may need you to kind of help me out on this too, I guess, in one sense. This is new ground for us, I guess, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Some of us up here are pretty tech savvy, while others of us, meaning myself too, are part dinosaur. I got the smartphones and I got the whole nine and all of the stuff I'm supposed to have, but I have to admit, my daughter, she told me about Cash App maybe a couple of years ago. And it was kids, they always need to send some money.
Oh, yeah.
And I told her,
To myself.
it's about 3 years ago, I said, well, I gotta wait to get by Western Union or Walmart to send some money. She said, no, Dad, you can use a Cash App. I said, what's Cash App? She said, oh, it's this application you put on your phone and you can wire the money. You don't have to go anywhere. So she sent me the thing. 15 minutes later, I downloaded it. I had it on there and I sent her some money. And I called her, I said, did you get it? She said, yeah, thank you, Dad, thank you, Dad. Now you can send me money all the time and you don't have to go anywhere. And I told her, I wish I'd have told her my phone was incompatible at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, when a resident goes on the website, they can pull up the agenda now.
That's correct.
But this is gonna kind of an enhanced version of that.
Yes, sir.
Is that right? Okay. I see all the different nodes and options here. It's a lot of accoutrements that come with this thing, and I guess my question is, even for the ones that we're selecting, we're looking at the voting, electronic voting system. That was primarily what we were looking at.
Yep.
What exactly is the learning curve, regarding all of these platforms, learning these custom workflows and the staff learning this new stuff? I mean, we've had some software challenges, New World Systems and North Star, and,
Right.
It's a learning curve with this stuff, so we always have to factor that in if we're buying a new gadget, software.
For sure.
So what's the learning curve, and what type of training do you all provide, and in what size portions does your outfit provide for the city manager's staff to train on this stuff or get the training for this stuff?
For sure. Great question. So yeah, you're right. The software itself, when you sit down and actually focus in learning it, yeah, it takes time to learn, but you'll get there. It's the change management, which is the hardest part, right? We have 13 different departments that are used to doing things a certain way. We're going to have to, this isn't a substantial, the final outcome, as we were talking to one of the department heads earlier, is the same in the system, just upgraded technology with new tools. So how do we show them those best practices, right? And that's why I'm really proud to stand before you, because we do every step of the way here. This isn't a train the trainer approach where we say, okay, clerk's office, Mr. Hicks, go ahead, go get those training. That's delivered by us. And it's not just during the implementation. Most government agencies, you may have 5 to 10% turnover, right, on staff. We're going to have new people coming in, inheriting software, and having to submit those items. So we continually, each and every month, do group training for all 2,000 clients that are using this technology throughout the country on different modules. How do we submit an item? How do we approve item? How do we build minutes? How do we do agendas? And it's group training events with other clients throughout the country that you can learn from. So that's done continually throughout as part of this partnership, not just during the implementation. So you have the implementation that we will provide real hands-on remote training to, but also after implementation, having those touch points and access to hours of training as well for turnover and staff.
I see you have a lot of Metro Atlanta outfits that are contracted with you, cities and counties and
Yes,
such.
sir.
Is there any one live person on the ground in Metro Atlanta available if we needed a live person for some reason or another for training possibly?
For sure. Yeah, there definitely could be. Yeah, we do have folks that live here in Georgia. We have myself that come up often to visit with clients. I come to workshops very much to help you when this is implemented, best practices on how to do your strategic goal tracking and those type of things. So that is absolutely an option. During the implementation, we do everything remotely, as we have multiple team members throughout the country that specialize in different areas for the clerk, for the minutes, and staff, right? So that's all done remote. But as a follow-up, we certainly can go do it, especially on the voting piece. Maybe come to the first meeting and help out, make sure everything runs smooth.
Well, that sounds like it might be the easiest part of this. I guess
Yeah, it is.
If I can just push a button, because
It
that's
is.
all I want to do. I don't want to go through a whole big drawn-out process. In Fulton County, we hit the button and, we go in the queue and it's easy.
Yeah.
So I want simple.
Yep.
But it's good to know that you have a person on the ground in case we need a person live and in person. So I understand our meeting minutes could be automated through this system.
That's correct.
And I know we were at the airport last week, and I've been in that room before, and they have to have one of the most remarkable voice-to-text software systems I've ever seen. I mean, it was accurate. It was it was very, very accurate. And, it reminded me, it looked like one of those Alexa things up in the
Yep, for sure.
up in the ceilings and whatever have you. So is that the kind of rigging that you would set up if we went along with the minutes deal?
It absolutely is. 5 years ago, if you were going to ask me that question, you look at this technology, you would laugh at it. It was not even close to accurate enough. It's amazing how far AI has come in the last 5 years, whereas we put it side by side with our human transcription and closed captioners, and for basic everyday words, it does a far superior job than humans. The big the big challenge is, in government meetings, there's a lot of names, and names in that AI. So what you would have to do is train the AI, go back and update, College Park streets and the council members' names and all those folks, right, that are often spoken. So the names are the big key that AI needs to be trained on over time. But the actual word of mouth is amazing technology, better than our humans now at this point.
Okay, well, As long as the AI won't be setting policy for us.
Nope. That's up to you.
Go for that. So right now, Michael, tell me, we know we want the voting and the queue system. What else are we looking for in this? I think I saw $58,000.
Yes.
Right. So we can decide which part of this project that we want to go live with first. I think voting is what we talked about. We definitely want. The community engagement seems to be very popular, so maybe we can start with those two, the voting and community engagement, and then bring on the agenda and the technical piece that deals with the camera and stuff later on.
Okay, so voting and the community engagement. Now remind me, give me the community engagement. What part is that again?
So with that picture of myself that was up on the screen in Sunrise, Florida, when I was a resident, and say, you know what, I want to speak on that particular issue.
Okay, got it.
Giving me the ability to plug that in so it goes right to the clerk's office to say, hey, this are the people that want to speak on this issue versus having that piece of paper back there. And the ability for me to digitally say, I can't make the meeting, but this is my opinion on this particular subject. So you folks know the pulse of your community, not just the people that are here in the meeting.
So they can speak from home.
On the phone, office, traveling, whatever it might be.
Got it. Last question.
Sure.
So as we get this equipment now, I would assume that we would own this equipment, or will we not own it, or would it be a lease thing, or we'll own the equipment?
You do own the equipment, and it's manufacturer warranty. Yes, so the annual fees is for the service of our team in Texas doing the broadcasting, the CNN-like experience, right?
So the two nodes, what would the annual fees look like for those two that we start off with, ballpark?
Yeah, so
This is the whole thing here, the 22,000?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well,
So the committee management's about a little over $4,000, and the member voting's a little over $2,000, and the community engagement's a little over $2,000. This is all in Georgia state pricing too. We do it based on population, right? So Atlanta, Fulton County, who are using the same technology, obviously pay a little bit more because of the larger population.
Okay, slow down a minute. You mentioned three prices. You said those were three nodes.
No problem.
I thought we were doing two nodes. Or is that?
Yeah.
I compressed it all in one price for the one meeting platform.
Okay.
So that's all the modules for the one meeting platform. The other price was for the meeting.
Sir, if you're going to speak, could you please go to the microphone? Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. So, the price, I compiled all the different modules for the one meeting platform into that price as you see there. The other price you saw, the 22,000, was for the video production.
Okay, so the 10,004 here, Michael, that's the two platforms we're gonna start with? Is that the voting and the community?
Apologize. That's all of them, but you can start with the different modules that are most important first in the implementation process.
So it'll be a little less, and this is annual, it'll be less than the 10 annually. Is that what you're telling me for starting off with the two?
Well, we could, all under one platform, we can start the different pieces and what's the most important for you guys to start first. Like, instead of waiting until the whole platform's up to have the voting and community engagement piece, you can start with those, and we continue to work on the agenda and all the other modules.
Okay,
as
I
what's
thought what I heard you say is the 10,004 was for everything. Is that what I
Right,
heard?
and
or
so
was that-
we pay the annual fee, and out of the annual fee, we can decide that we want to do the community engagement and the voting piece first.
Okay, so the annual fee is the 58, the whole 58.
Right, that's the annual fee.
Mr. Hicks, could you make sure you're at the, Mr. Hicks, could you approach the
All right.
microphone? Thank you.
Okay, the annual fee is the whole amount
Right,
for everything.
right, these are the one-time fees, all of that's packed up.
Okay.
And there's an annual fee of $22,890. There's some implementation fees that goes along with all of these. That's where those one-time fees of $56K comes in. The annual price is $22,000. Once we get it all settled, we get it all in place, we pay $22,000 moving forward.
Okay, but that's for everything.
Everything.
We don't want to start off with everything. So if we go, let's say, a year with the two nodes you suggested, for example, we're not going to pay $22,000 a year for those two, are we?
Well, I would recommend that we pay for the whole package, and then we implement as we go along.
Well,
Because, Councilman Cohen, if we don't, we still will have some of the pieces. We'll need the current camera crew, we'll need some other technologies that we're still having to pay for.
understood, but we're probably going to go along with the camera crew right now for this year, possibly. the nodes we're looking for this year are the two that you mentioned. Now, I don't want to pay the $22,000 $800 annual service fee for all of it when we don't have all of it. Now, surely you can redact that commensurate with the small two packages that we're looking for. That number's going to be a lot smaller if that's what we want to start off with, and we can expand that annual package as we go with the different
Right.
add-ons. You know, I don't want to commit to a full service package when we only have 20% of your services. I mean, does that make sense?
Sure.
Well,
So-
and that's something y'all, you know, you work out with Michael and city manager just to kind of get our package size for us. But I don't want to, you know, put a down payment on the full package. I want to see how it goes this year with what we're going to use right now and see how it goes. And
Right.
and then is this contract? Can you design a contract where we can expand as we go in terms of pricing? So, I mean, if that's possible, and we may very well get all of the nodes, but we want to start off with the ones, you know, again, this is kind of new for us, so we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. So,
Right.
I like it, but I'm okay with starting with the two outfits. How soon can we get those two installed and us up and going?
Right, so if I could make a recommendation too, based on other municipalities that are in the same boat, you're absolutely right, Commissioner, we don't pay for things we're not using, correct, right?
Right.
But the reality is the Minute Track solution we've been using is going to be end of life eventually. So we need to get all of these things in place over a certain amount of time. So what I would recommend, like we did at Smyrna, is like you said, we'll focus on those different modules. We'll commit to doing these over time, but billing, you won't be billed until you go live with each of those modules, right? So you know long-term, this is the price that we're building towards, but you won't be paying that until you actually go live, right? So you're going to be using Minute Track as we're upgrading Agenda. You're not going to be double billed for that. And then when you go live 6 months from now, that's when that new price would then hit, right? When you actually go live with that piece of technology. When the room is equipped with the cameras and we go live with that technology, that's when you'd be billed.
If we decide to go live with the cameras. Right,
Correct.
so pay as you go.
Correct.
Okay, well, that sounds a little better. All right, I'm fine with it, as long as we get a definitive pricing, Michael, on the two that we're looking at right now, what that's gonna be annually, and if there's an additional service charge. Now, you're gonna kill us with the software upgrades every time we turn around, and then there's an additional $5,000 or whatever it is every time?
No, that's what we'd like to lock this in. So you're currently paying X amount for Minute Track. There's a small difference on the agenda upgrade, right, that we'll do over time. The voting and the committee engagement are brand-new modules we're bringing into the solution in this one platform,
All right, so we
right?
start with the two,
That's correct.
and this is just my, from me talking. We start with the two, but that contract that we signed does not lock us in or commit us to future add-ons unless we opt to want them. That contract doesn't obligate us to them, so that we're clear. Because we want to see how this goes, and then we want to be able to have the option to add on what we want as this one goes well, which I'm assuming it will. You
Yeah.
follow me? So that.
I am. I would just like to add one recommendation, is that it should be 3, because you have the agenda upgrade as well,
Okay.
right?
Is
So you have
that-
the agenda upgrade,
Okay.
voting, community engagement.
Is that-
And that has to be packaged together, or the clerk's office is going to be using 2 different tools,
Okay,
and it's
all
going to
right,
be,
all right.
yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be
I'm
my
good.
recommendation, then we do the council chambers when we're ready. And that
Okay.
makes a clean, easy sense.
I got a good understanding
Yeah.
now. All right.
What would that price be for those 3 elements?
If you go back to the previous slide, there is the $10,423 annually for those 3 modules, and the one-time fee of $2,000. And then the next slide is for the cameras, the computers, all the fun stuff that we would do, coming here, installing it, and actually doing all the production, video, and all that type of stuff.
Councilmember Arnold?
I think Councilman Carn asked the majority of the questions that I had, but I do have one question.
Sure.
In reference to the component for community engagement. You mentioned earlier that there will be opportunities for training. Would that also be true for community members on how to utilize and put information into the system when they have questions, concerns, or want to make comments?
I'm sorry, when you say, are you talking about staff of College Park, or are you talking about like a
I'm talking
resident?
about the residents, right?
We have videos that you can certainly post on the site. It's really simple. It's just a name, whatever you want to capture, your name, your address, for, against, oppose if you want to ask them, and a comment box. That's it.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Councilmember Gay?
Yeah, most of my questions were answered, but I would like to recommend that if we are to consider it at some point, I would like to look at other costs from other providers, rather than just add this on to a minute track agreement. I would like to see this compared to other providers before I make a decision.
Well, one of the reasons why we went with this platform, because we already use a Minitrack,
I just said that.
and it's cheaper by volume for us to use this platform.
I just said that. I said I would like to look at other.
Okay, because I have other pricing from other companies, I'll share it with you.
And just because I thought we were going with the Fulton County package, so that's what made me have that question.
But Fulton County has the one meeting.
Huh?
Fulton County has the one meeting.
They got y'all too?
But,
You didn't mention. Oh, you didn't mention them.
Yeah.
Right, he didn't
We
mention.
do it on population
did?
pricing.
I didn't
Yeah,
hear that.
so it's population pricing, so College Park plays in population. It's the
All right.
state of Georgia contract.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay, I didn't hear.
yeah, so we went to visit Fulton County, that's how we got all the
That's what I
background.
thought. I didn't hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any follow-up, Councilmember McKenzie?
No?
Councilmember Carn?
I had one other quick question. You know, one thing I've learned over the years is before you jump into bed with new outfits and contracts, you want to get as much clarity as possible.
For sure.
And Mike, I'm sure you probably looked at this, but, you know, let's say we're looking at some kind of a cyber attack and our servers shut down and we can't, you know, have the access like we used to have. What happens? Are we covered? Do you have some type of redundant systems, or do we have to go back to what we were using, or do we have to go back to a clipboard?
Great question. So that's one of the primary reasons why consolidating to one platform makes a lot of sense. Granicus, the entire state government, from the governor to the attorney general here in the state of Georgia, they use Granicus today to do all their communication. Every federal agency uses Granicus to communicate out to residents here in College Park. The reason I mention that is we have to hold a standard of what you call FedRAMP security. It's the highest level security that government can possibly have. Your technology will be in that. It's a data center in Dulles, Virginia, that literally has an armored guard and 5 days worth of gas for generators in case something catastrophic happens, and backup in Austin, and another backup on the West Coast. So 3 redundant backups every day for all clients.
Okay, and last thing, the $10,004 annually, are we signing a one-year contract? What's the terms of our contract that you're gonna present to us, I should say?
We're flexible. I would recommend a 3-year contract to lock in that pricing, right? From any sort of inflation or anything like that. That's currently, I think, what you have with Minitrack. It's a current 3-year contracts.
And the 3-year contract would lock us into the $10,423, is that right?
Correct, but there is also an uplift on that each and every month, or each and every year, right? With both software as a service to cover the 24/7 support, the FedRAMP security, and those type of things.
All right, tell me about the uplift, what are we looking at?
I believe it's 7%. That's our standard in Georgia.
So this will go up 7% a year for a 3-year contract.
Correct.
Do we have a mutual option or an option to say, hey, the first year wasn't exactly what we're looking for, thanks but no thanks?
For sure.
Is that our option?
It is.
No penalty fee? any
No
of that?
penalty fees. The data is your data
Alright.
from the instant you touch the keyboard. If you decide, hey, another vendor's gonna do a better job, it's our job to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay,
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Councilmember Arnold? Councilmember Gay?
No.
So the total that we're looking at is $12,443.62?
Correct, without the council chamber revamp.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
And
Thank you very much.
How soon can you, if we decide to do this, how soon can you get this stuff set up and going here?
I mean, from the software standpoint, for the member voting and the citizen engagement, right, at the City of Sunrise, Florida, that we went through, we were able to get that done in 2 months, right? And then the agenda software, though, is the time for us to step back and look at our processes, right? We could do it pretty fast if we're just gonna duplicate what we did in Minitrack, but there's a lot of really fantastic collaboration software I recommend we take a look at to see if we can leverage. So that agenda upgrade could take a little bit longer, in the 5 to 6 month
Okay,
range.
so you're telling me we won't have the basic voting set up until the 1st of April?
If we get hustling, right? We have to, make sure we set up all the templates and all that type of stuff correctly, make sure the clerk's office is comfortable with being able to run it in the meeting. And Minitrack's gonna have to talk to that system until we get you upgraded on the agenda. So there's some setup that we have to do. So it's gonna take a couple months.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, council.
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a FY 23-24 financial status update.
Wait, point of order. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the city clerk was supposed to be sounding these agendas after January 16th. But did I miss something here?
I need direction from the
What?
city manager. I'm conflicted.
All right.
Well,
Well, I believe that's what we voted on and requested. We start after January 16th. It's after January 16th, so. City manager?
Good evening, Mr. Wall. Please
Excuse me,
proceed.
I'm still speaking. Thank you very much.
It's already been sounded at this point, so Mr. Wall is here. And so in
If
presiding over the meeting, sir, we will proceed with Mr. Wall's
I
presentation.
still had the floor, city manager.
Sir?
Now,
Yeah,
the
hold on,
understanding.
I'm sorry, I apologize, but as the presiding officer, I recognize those who have the floor.
I make a motion to continue
Sir,
discussion of this without further disruption from the mayor.
Sir,
I have a motion on the floor.
sir, I've not recognized.
second,
You did, I was recognized and I was speaking, and you interrupted me. The
Sir.
motion is on the floor.
Sir, I have not recognized you yet.
My motion still stands,
I
and it's on the
second
floor.
it, Councilman Cohen.
There is, Madam Clerk, could you repeat the motion?
Councilman Carn, motion to move forward with discussion with no interruption, seconded by Councilman Gay.
Discussion?
I'm not sure that's exactly what he said.
That was exactly what I said,
I believe he said it without interruption from the mayor.
from the mayor, exactly.
From the-
Yes, yes. Absolutely.
And that,
I had discussion.
and there's a motion and a second. We'll start with Councilmember Carn.
I don't have any discussion. We're gonna vote.
Councilmember McKenzie?
I'm lost right now. What's going on? Are we,
I made a motion for discussion of.
Sir,
this
sir,
item.
I've acknowledged Councilmember McKenzie. If she wishes to allow you to speak during her time, that is fine, but I've not recognized you. The floor is Councilmember McKenzie's.
are we, point of clarification, Mayor, are we discussing the motion on the floor? Or
Yes,
are
ma'am.
we, oh, okay, I don't have any comment.
Councilmember Arnold?
No.
Councilmember Gay?
I just wanted some clarity from the city attorney so that we don't have any misunderstanding to us or the public. There's a resolution that dictates out how we carry our meetings.
Yes, sir.
And maybe you should reiterate what those are, because, I think Councilmember Corn is correct. Furthermore, we also have a resolution that there's no deliberation by the, Parliament?
Sir, I would point you to Robert's Rules of Order 43.22, which members of an assembly can't address others directly. Everything has to go through the chair.
I
So
was
if you have a question for the city attorney, please address through me, and I will share it with the city attorney.
No, Mayor, that's incorrect. He had the floor and he was speaking, and you cannot interrupt him. Let him finish his inquiry to the city attorney,
Sir.
not to you.
Sir. Mr. Denmark, what is Robert's Rules 43.22?
I'm not familiar with that by chapter and verse, but Madam Mayor, if your position is that members of the governing body should address the chair, and the chair then respond, then that is certainly consistent with the rules.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to ask the city attorney a question. City attorney, I know this is different from us, but I think it's incumbent on you to give legal clarity so that it don't appear that someone is being disrespectful or rude. These are procedures that are lawfully in place. They need to be followed. And it is your position to give clarity so we can have these meetings without interruption.
Based on the ordinance that this council adopted, it is the responsibility of the city clerk to sound the items on the agenda.
And can you also address deliberation?
Based on the ordinance that this council passed, the deliberations, the mayor shall not participate in the deliberations of the city council.
Thank you.
One other point of order. I heard that.
Hold on, Councilmember Carn, I have to acknowledge you. What is your point of order?
Well, it's regarding what you said about that this body addresses all questions to the chair. That is something we have never done on this body and never done in this council at all. So that's something I don't think we're going to be entertaining. With that, I will make a motion that members of this council do not address questions to the chair, nor that we ever have before. All right. Well, let's take care of my first motion on the floor, and then I'm going to have my second motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The
Yeah.
motion passes unanimously.
And I make my second motion that members of this body are not required to address all questions to the chair, as we've never had to do that before, and we're not going to start doing that. That's my second motion.
Madam Clerk, could you read the motion, please?
Councilman Carr motion that the members of this council are not required to address all questions to the chair.
I'm not sure that was the full motion.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that's what I captured. Councilman Carr, correct me
Councilmember
if
Carn,
I'm
could you
wrong.
repeat your motion for the chair? I mean, for the clerk?
My motion was that members of this body, this council, are not required to address all questions to the chair, to the mayor, I should say. To correct that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Gay. We'll start with discussion with Councilmember Carn.
No discussion.
Councilmember McKenzie?
I have no discussion. I'm really just trying to understand what's going on right now.
Councilmember Arnold?
I agree with Councilwoman McKenzie.
I'm very confused.
Going on tonight.
Councilmember Gay?
No discussion. No discussion.
And I can explain further with some discussion.
Councilmember Carn, you've
Since-
not been acknowledged yet. It's my job to acknowledge those who wish to speak. But please, go ahead.
Like I was saying, I guess I can explain this. Apparently, the mayor has decided out of the clear blue that before we ask any question of our department heads, city manager, city attorney, or anyone else, that no questions can be asked unless they go through the mayor some type of a way. Now, this is something that has never, ever been done, at least in the past 24 years. And I don't think it's been done before that. So, just calling an audible up here is not something that we're going to start doing here. Now, if you're going to start making motions and doing things that are not within your purview, this city council is going to preserve the impartiality required of the presiding officer, meaning you, not as a policymaker. Now, if you choose to become a policymaker, the only thing I could tell you is I suggest you can consider running for city council, but the mayor sets no policy whatsoever.
Councilmember, I would remind you of Robert's Rule 4-30, in that speakers must address their remarks to the chair, maintain a courteous tone, and avoid ejecting a personal note into debate. Further discussion, Councilmember Arnold. Councilmember Gay.
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
That is a tie, and so in opposition to ordinance 2024-01, which prevents me from expressing an opinion, the charter prompts me to vote and express an opinion. I would be opposed to the motion. The motion fails.
I have a second motion and a modification of that motion. And I have some
Councilmember Carn?
discussion.
What is your motion?
Again, what the mayor is saying is that from here on out, no one can ask a question of our staff or anyone, I guess, or of the public either, without that question going to the mayor. So I want to make sure that you all understand clearly that this just came out of the clear blue sky, that she says all questions have to be routed through her.
Councilmember Carn, I would remind
I can't
you-
think of any.
I would
if
remind
I
you
can
that
finish,
Robert's
please.
Rules
If I can please finish,
43-22.
I have the floor. I have the floor. Thank you.
This is Robert's Rules.
Again, I have the floor. And I, with
Please
all
proceed,
due
sir.
respect, I would appreciate it. I was trying to until you interrupted me.
I would remind you that the
I'm
speakers
being interrupted once again.
must maintain a courteous tone and avoid ejecting a personal note into debate.
And once
You have
again,
the floor, sir.
once again, I'm being interrupted. How do I have the floor when you keep interrupting me when I get started? Again, what she is proposing doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If we're going to have decent discussions up here where we can discuss and deliberate, that's going to be next to impossible if every question that we ask, like the outfit that just came up here, those questions have to go through the mayor. That is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to modify that motion, and I want a motion for reconsideration that members of this council body not be required to address all questions to the mayor. Again,
Madam Clerk, there's a motion for reconsideration on the floor. Is there a second?
Second with discussion.
Councilmember Carn, you can start off. There's been a second by Councilman Gay.
I have no discussion.
Councilmember McKenzie?
My understanding of Robert's Rules of Order is that the governing body does request the permission, or has the acknowledgement, I should say, the acknowledgement of the chair to ask a question. I don't have a problem with the chair, being acknowledged by the chair. So I will not, I don't see the point in any of this discussion right now. I think we just need to go on with the meeting. But I don't see I'm not understanding why the chair cannot be acknowledged us for questions. So basically, I don't really have an issue with it.
Well,
No,
I have
Councilmember
I
Carn?
have discussion,
Hold on. I've already called on you.
and I
went
have
to-
further discussion.
And I understand, sir. I'll be back to you. Councilmember Arnold?
I don't have a problem with following the rules, Robert's Rules of Order either, with us asking our questions to the chair. Right now, I have a problem with what's happening here as far as the communication between the body. It's very concerning to me. I do agree that we need to get on with the business of the city. We have a long agenda. We have several items that we need to consider. And this particular conversation is not productive.
Councilmember Gay?
I concur with everyone, but here's the issue from my perspective, colleagues. We collectively voted unanimously for specific rules. Rule 1 was that the clerk shall call the agenda,
Exactly.
and that the presider would not deliberate. Now, that's a departure from the 8 years I've set up here. Change goes through 3 phases, and this is why you feeling what you feeling. First is ridicule. That's what they've been doing on social media. Secondly, it's validly opposed. And in about 20 minutes from that, it's going to be accepted as self-evidence. So here's what I'm saying. The mayor started talking to the presenters. Unfortunately, that is a rule that we no longer allow to deliberate. That's a form of deliberation. No one called point of order as a courtesy. So she did it again. So then Councilman Corn started a conversation about what the ordinance we've agreed to. So it's spiraling out of control, but I just want to come back to a point to say, I don't think anyone is being hostile. I think what we're trying to do is set the tone for what our expectations are. That's what we voted on. So if we don't call for point of order, then this will continue on, and then what will have been the point? That's clearly the problem here. So let me close by saying, I too don't have a problem calling on the chair to ask anybody questions. That's the least of my worries. But we do need to follow. Now, last thing I'm going to say to Councilman Cohen's point, she did just create a new piece of legislation. And she did it by bringing us to Robert Rules of Order. Now, if that's what Robert Rules of Order say, then Mayor, I call you every time I need to ask the question. But to Joe's point, I sat up here for 8 years and I never heard anybody ask the mayor for permission to speak. So we all got to learn how to accept this change. And I, for one, am not embarrassed, nor do I feel disrespected anyone, nor am I intimidated. We're doing our job, and he is trying to get clarity for the rest of our time unless we change that resolution.
Councilmember McKenzie, any further comment?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that if we're going to follow Robert's Rules of Order, let's follow Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose, and again, I do want to say this publicly to those that are listening and to this council body, that the decision that I made on January 16th and January 2nd were not to silence the voice of the mayor or the presiding officer, but it was an attempt to just bring order, to follow Robert's Rules of Order. And because I see the disorder that exists in this council prior to my even being on this council, and it was my opinion that if we simply stuck to the rules that are already established by those that have come before us, not on this council, but in terms of what Robert has put there, that we would not have instances such as this where we are inflicting our own desires or our own opinions regarding the business of the city. And I will restate again that my understanding of Robert's Rules of Order is that before a member of the board speaks, they do get the acknowledgement of the chair. The member can either say, as I have said to the chair on occasion, Madam Chair or Madam Mayor, point of order, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. That is requesting the chairs to allow us to speak. That is what the order is. And then there are other times that our chair chooses to tell us when we can speak. Now that I cannot say exists in Robert's Rules of Order. I really would need to see where the chair can determine when a member can speak. But I do see in Robert's Rules of Order where a member will request the opportunity to speak from the chair.
Councilmember Carn?
Well, I understand where you're coming from. And, you know, Robert's Rules of Order is not exclusive in every nuance for any governing body whatsoever. We make the decisions on how we want to govern. Now, what brought this up was, I hear some of you all saying you're okay with an acknowledgement from the mayor, by the mayor. But what the mayor said was routing all questions to the mayor. It's a difference between those two. Now, ultimately, we want to conduct these meetings so that the deliberating body can have unconstrained conversations on the agenda items without attempts to limit the body's progress. And that means free discussion so that we can discuss things like adults. So if this turns into I'm the school teacher, you are the student, you only speak when you're spoken to, if that's what the body wants, then I guess that's what we're going to get. But the idea is for this council body, as well as the mayor, to facilitate this meeting in a manner that's acceptable to all of your colleagues. So if every question that we ask going through the mayor is acceptable to you all, then so be it.
Councilmember Arnold?
I made my comments earlier.
Councilmember Gay?
I'm gonna dismiss my motion for having to, I'm gonna dismiss my reconsideration motions. However, I want us to stick to the resolution. The clerk signs the agenda. Mayor, as a presiding officer, there is no deliberation. Dismiss my order for reconsideration of this second motion.
Sir, let me be clear. Have you withdrawn your second?
Yes. With that discussion.
Mayor?
We've already had, there's already been a second, and there's already, hold on one second, please. I don't think at this point, since the motion has been made, the second has been made, we've had discussion that the second itself can be withdrawn. The motion can be withdrawn.
Well, overruled, sustained. I withdraw my discussion.
Mr. Denmark,
Too much YSL trial watching.
hold on.
The point
Mr. Denmark.
the point is, I withdraw my motion for I withdraw my second for Councilman Cohen, reconsideration.
From a procedural aspect, I don't think that is.
To the extent the councilman wants to withdraw a second, he can withdraw a second. Because the conversation, the discussion, the very purpose of it is to enlighten the members, and based on the conversation that was had, the councilman wants to withdraw his second, and I believe that's permissible.
That's it.
Okay, the council member has withdrawn his second. The motion itself is pending. Is there a second to it? The motion dies for lack of a second.
I have a point of order, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
While we're in this discourse, can you let us know where in Robert's Rules of Order that the presiding officer determines when a person can speak? Now, I do know that a board member should have the acknowledgement of the chair to speak, but we carry out our deliberations with the presiding officer going from one council person to the next, asking if we had discussion. Where is that found in Robert's Rules of Order? If you would just help me.
4322.
Can you read that for us, please? Because I do not recall that. I'd like to see where you're coming
Members of an
from.
assembly cannot address one another directly, but must address all remarks through the chair.
Yes, now that part I
If-
understand,
if
but
while-
where does,
I'm still reading.
Okay.
If while another member wishes to address a question to him, which the person speaking can permit or not as he chooses, but which is taken out of his time if he does, the member desiring to ask the question rises and addresses the chair, proceeding as explained under request for information. And requests for information under Rule 33-6 are directed to the chair or through the chair to another officer or member.
yes, and I totally agree with that. But I do not see where the chair is given the authority to say to each member when they can speak. See, there's one thing, the issue that we were just discussing, I totally agree with, that the chair should be able, that we should get we should get the acknowledgement of the chair before we speak. But what I'm asking is, when we are continuing our deliberations, the chair continues to say, Councilmember McKenzie, do you have something to say? I would like to see where in Robert's Rules of Order that is, because I have not witnessed that in years, and I don't know where it exists in the book that members should be told when they could speak, but I do see where members should request from the chair the opportunity to speak. Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference?
Rule 3-31, to claim the floor, a member rises at his place when no one else has the floor and says, Mr. President, or Mr. Chairman, or Madam Chairman, or whatever the chair's proper title, if the member is entitled to the floor at the time the chair recognizes him.
I've got a suggestion,
Councilmember Carn?
and this may be a happy medium here. I guess in an ideal world, in my mind, to be able to have a decent meeting without a lot of disruption, essentially, the way I would see it is essentially first agenda item, clerk sounds the agenda item. Okay. After that, the mayor says, any discussion? That is the chair acknowledging us all to speak. After any discussion, I think everybody on this body can have a civilized conversation without being regulated by anyone as to when and where and the cue for us to be allowed to have discussion. Some of the best ideas that we've come up with and best decisions in terms of public policy come from free and open deliberation. I think we're all mature enough to have that. The issue with the frustration and the back and forth here has come from the restrictions from the mayor in terms of being able to deliberate freely. I think we can all deliberate like adults if we're allowed to. Now, if we're treated like school children and there's a mother may I going on, it's going to be kind of difficult to have good communication there. Well, we're all adults and we're all grown-ups and we all have children. Some of us have grandchildren and some of us have no children. But no one certainly wants to be treated like one. I think we're able to conduct a meeting pretty well. We were doing fine with all of our meetings in the many years I was up here with great discussion and great debate. Until I got back, there were some issues. But hopefully we can resolve those issues so that everyone can communicate and move forward with the progress of the city. But we have to facilitate the meeting in a manner that's acceptable to everybody up here. So that was my sample recommendation. After clerk sounds the agenda item, mayor's, is any discussion? And we have our discussion amongst the council members. We have our queue system, and I think we can handle things just fine. Now,
That's not how Robert's Rules
if
works.
I can please finish, I'm saying this is how I think this council body should work. And again, Robert's Rules is not exclusive in every nuance of Robert's Rules. This is my suggestion for the best way we can proceed with a peaceful and orderly meeting. And I think it's pretty reasonable. So after our discussions that we have amongst ourselves, after discussion is done, call for the vote. We vote with our machinery or whatever have you. Clerk reads the results of the vote. And the mayor says, next item. Clerk sounds the next item. That seems pretty simple, cut and dry, and I think that's something that may work for everybody, where everyone has a voice. And again, the chair acknowledges us to speak when she says any discussion, and we proceed with discussion.
I have a point of clarification.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Councilmember Arnold.
I just want to make a correction to Councilman Carn. That is Councilman Carn's thoughts.
Yes,
Not
yes.
everybody.
Only mine.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gay.
No comment.
Councilmember McKenzie.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying, again, Mayor. What you're doing right now this is not Robert's Rules of Order. what Robert's Rules of Order, and even what you read just now, is that if I want to speak, I need to get the acknowledgement of the presiding officer. The presiding officer does not tell the board members when they can speak. So it's a different thing, and it's apples and oranges, okay? The officers we get the acknowledgement of the chair when we want to speak, but we don't have to have the chair asking each of us one by one. And what that does is it's adding on unnecessary time to our meetings. Because if I have a comment, I will ask the chair, I will ask for the acknowledgement of you, the chair, to make a comment. Now, I hear Councilman Carn saying that he wants you to just simply say, okay, discussion, and let us discuss without being acknowledged by the chair. I am not in agreement with that, okay? I do believe that we still need to have the acknowledgement of the chair before each of us speak, but we do not need the chair to tell us one by one and to continue this round robin that we are doing.
So you're saying when we ask for acknowledgement, we expect
Hold on,
it
wait,
acknowledged?
Councilmember Carn, Councilmember Carn, this,
We have to say
yeah,
it.
this is,
So Chair, I think what I hear Councilwoman McKenzie saying is acknowledgement from the chair is one thing, and we expect acknowledgement from the chair. But asking for permission to speak is an entirely different proposition, and that's something that I don't agree with. Acknowledgement is fine.
Same thing.
So, but the way that you are saying routing all questions through the mayor, and I've seen you attempt this before when someone was making a presentation and only two certain council members had questions, you said, wait a minute, you must address that question through the chair. I remember at one point where you attempted to, where I think Roderick had a question for the city manager, and you told Councilmember Gay, interrupted his question and said, you have to address that question to me. And that's not something that I heard about. It's on video. So that's the type of thing that I don't think is going to work.
Point of order.
yes, Madam.
I'd like to-
Yes, Councilmember McKenzie.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to request that we table this discussion and move on with the next agenda item at the sounding of the clerk.
I second.
Thank you, Councilmember Arnold. Any discussion, Councilmember McKenzie? Councilmember Carn? Councilmember Arnold? Councilmember Gay?
Mayor, 7, 18, and 19, I don't know, we can get in the workshop agenda. I would like to request that it be tabled as well.
Second.
Well, hold on, there's already a pending motion on the floor.
What's the pending? Did I make the motion? Oh, okay. I will rescind that motion.
Okay, Councilmember McKenzie has withdrawn her motion.
Yeah, withdrawn. That's a better word.
Councilmember Gay, what is your
My
motion?
motion is that we table the workshop agenda, financial.
Okay, is there a second to tabling the financial discussion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Any discussion, Councilmember Gay?
No.
Councilmember McKenzie?
In opposition to me not being listened to by the chair, I've requested, and I will make a motion, I guess, that we discontinue the round robin of being asked to speak by the chair, and that the members that want to speak will request to be acknowledged by the chair when we want to speak.
We've already got a motion on the floor.
I know, but I'm just saying you're continuing to do that. So I have no discussion because I'm not going to participate in this anymore.
Councilmember Carn?
Mayor, this isn't a merry-go-round. Let's stop with the silliness so we can move on with the meeting.
I would remind you of Robert's Rules 430. Speakers should avoid injecting a personal note into debate.
And I'll remind you of the time. Can we please move on without the round robin?
Councilmember Arnold, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. The vote is to consider tabling the discussion of the financial, the FY 23-24 budget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. So we will see everybody back here in 9 minutes for the start of the regular session.